Lot and his family are a reflection of a tragically failed family. Lot's salvation was not because of his worthiness, not because of Lot himself, but because of Abraham. The Bible never hides the flaws of its characters. Both positive and negative aspects are clearly written. If only the positive aspects were shown. Abraham and other figures would be turned into monuments in Israel, almost idolized. The Bible writes about the consequences of sexual sin. That's what happened. However, it must be understood that the Bible never advocates for humans to commit such sins. Rather, it records the consequences of those sins. Why is that story written in the Holy Book? If we carefully observe the contents of the Holy Book, it often narrates human conditions straightforwardly, not fabricated or engineered. And it is through such human conditions that the truth of God is proclaimed to humanity. The Bible is an honest book that no human is exempt from sin. Even prophets are not free from sin. Here we have a difference in perspective. Where Muslims always consider a prophet as a perfect human, untouched by sin, while in Christian understanding, no, human is exempt from sin. Only Jesus never sinned. Here we see how important it is for Jesus to come into the world, so that humanity is saved, freed from the curse of sin and obtains eternal life. There is a sorrowful story.
And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. Genesis 19:31-32.
Lot's two daughters devised a plan involving Lot in sin. And undoubtedly, their sin was a greater wrongdoing. They pretended to cheer up their father by trying to make him drunk with wine, and then they slept with Lot. There was a logical thought from the two daughters. They thought that their father had no sons, and they also had no husbands. They did not know where they could find husbands, and eventually have offspring. Lot's two daughters, raised in Sodom, which practiced free sex, may have influenced their thinking, and their actions resulted in both of Lot's daughters becoming pregnant.
Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. Genesis 19:36.
The outcome of their actions was the birth of two sons, who later became the ancestors of the Moabites and the Ammonites. Lot and his family are a reflection of a tragically failed family. It is not recorded how Lot reacted when he found out that his two daughters were pregnant by him. But as a righteous man, tzaddik, Lot surely repented of his sin and he was forgiven. However, from the Bible's silence about him since then, we can learn that drunkenness, besides causing people to lose themselves, also makes them forgotten, and many names that should be remembered with respect. But because of drunkenness, Lot is buried in disgrace and forgotten. In this case, was Lot worthy of salvation?
And delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked, for that righteous man dwelling among them, in seeing and hearing, vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. 2 Peter 2:7-8.
Lot's salvation was not because of his worthiness, not because of Lot himself, but because of Abraham. Sodom and Gomorrah were overturned because it turned out that in those two cities the quorum of 10 righteous men masculine was not fulfilled. Yet God saved Lot because he remembered Abraham. Notice this verse.
And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham, and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in the which Lot dwelt. Genesis 19:29.
Perhaps the characteristics of hedonism and materialism had infected Lot as well. We can see when they were commanded to leave Sodom. Because God would destroy the city, Lot hesitated. Perhaps he did not believe that the Lord would truly overturn Sodom. Perhaps Lot felt reluctant to leave his wealth and the pleasures of life there. Clearly, Lot's wife perished because her heart could not detach from Sodom. Time was urgent, so the two angels dragged Lot's family out. And this was an act of mercy from God. Otherwise, Lot could have been left to perish. And it would have been appropriate, because he was unwilling to leave, hesitating, feeling attached to his wealth in Sodom that he had to leave.
And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee. Neither stay thou in all the plain, escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. Genesis 19:17.
Lot was forced, dragged out of the city of Sodom. The two angels gave warnings to Lot. 1. He must not long for Sodom. Do not look back. 2. He must not linger on the road. Do not stop anywhere in the Jordan Valley. Lot was forbidden to be around the Valley Jordan, because the event of overturning Sodom and Gomorrah also affected the surrounding areas. This can be compared with other books written by Moses, such as,
And that the whole land thereof is brimstone, and salt, and burning, that it is not sown, nor beareth, nor any grass groweth therein, like the overthrow of Sodom, and Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim, which the Lord overthrew in his anger, and in his wrath. Deuteronomy 29 verse 23.
the valley areas, Sodom, Gomorrah, and their surroundings will all be turned into the Dead Sea around the valley of Siddim in Ecosidim. Thus, Lot could not choose any other refuge than the one designated for him, flee to the mountains. But Lot objected. He pleaded for a city of refuge, one of the 5 nearby cities named Zoar. Lot's vulnerability lay in his belief that the city he opted for offered greater safety compared to the mountains appointed by God. And he argued with himself when he requested, My Lord, you have shown me great kindness and saved my life, but I cannot flee to the mountains. This disaster will overtake me, and I'll die. This is a contradiction, because couldn't he, who dragged him out of Sodom when he hesitated, safely bring him to the mountains? Even though he started to tire, couldn't he, who saved him from a greater disaster, save him from a smaller one? In his request, he emphasized the smallness of the place. Isn't this city small? Because it was small. It was hoped not to be as bad as other cities. This resulted in a new name for the place. The city was called Zoar, meaning small, insignificant. Intervening to help the small should be remembered. The angels granted Lot's request despite its many weaknesses. The city of Zoar was spared to fulfill Lot's request.
And he said unto him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city, for the which thou hast spoken. Genesis 19:21.